everyone, welcome to the Helix Beginners Guide. Today we'll be covering creating your first world. So by the end of this video, we should be able to have a world just like one of these here. All set up, with scripts, maybe a map, and just getting more used to how to actually set up your own game. So the goals for today will be explaining the type of files that we will use, using our local host more, utilizing the Helix Exchange, scripting with our asset pack, and publishing and joining your world. So before we get into scripting, we should start to understand certain files that we have. So over here, I have my server file, and it has, assets, modules, package, config, Helix core, game server, and the config is the main thing we're going to focus on right now. So we did speak about it last time briefly, but it is essentially something called a TOML source file. And what a TOML source file is, it's just certain settings or configurations for your respective folder or certain information. On your config.toml, this has your server configurations, the name of the server, any information about the server will be here, and then certain setups as well. So for example, if you wanted to load a package automatically or a game mode or preload some assets, you do it all here, and also the map as well. If we go on to our package, and then our package.toml, this is the configurations for the package. So the name of the package again, so same as this essentially, the name and information about the server. This is the package information, script configurations, and the main focus as well is the requirements and compatibility game modes. So package requirements, what will happen is once you load it, it will check if there's a package called, for example, if I say test or whatever, it will check if there is a game mode or a package called test. If there is a package, it will just load it in, and the same thing goes with the asset requirements. So if I say PCO markers, it will preload PCO markers once the package is loaded. Obviously, if it's not there, there'll be an error. So it's good to have these just to make it a lot easier for maybe you're setting it up in the future or someone else is setting it up. They'll know exactly what assets and what packages need to be on your game. The last of the config.tomls is the asset pack. I'm just going to go and find an example. Here's one. PCO markers is here. I've got this downloaded. And there's an asset.toml. And again, configurations for the name, requirements. So for example, maybe there's another asset pack you have to have loaded in, and then the unique one, the unique part of the assets.toml is this part here, and these are the configurations for Unreal Engine. So we don't really want to change any of this. This should kind of be pre-written, and then below are all of your assets from Unreal, so all the cooked assets. So you might have a map. Obviously this package has no map. It does have static meshes though, it has 3. And these are the references for said static mesh. So if we use this name here, we can actually load it in ourselves. And now we understand what these .toml files are, we can now actually look at other information such as what is a package, what is an asset pack. So a package is basically just a collection of your scripts. So this could be Lua, it could be, also including HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can link it up with quite a few things. So as well, stuff like UIs, databases, scripts, they are all in the package. So it's kind of the coding part, okay? And an example of a package would just be here. So we have our client where we store the UIs, the server where we store the backend code, and the shared is obviously kind of crossing that server client boundary. So it might be like, for example, I might want to access certain tables from both the client and the server. I can use the shared. Again, back to that other asset pack. So an asset pack So kind of similar to a package in a way, but instead of code, it's cooked Unreal assets. So it's a collection of cooked Unreal entities. So for example, again, we have our marker. So there's the marker arrow, the marker circle, marker cylinder, and these all join together to make the asset pack. So now carrying on, we kind of get the gist of how certain files work. We can actually now work with the Helix Exchange. So the Helix Exchange is super simple. It's when we go on our Helix hub. So you might want to go on helixgame.com if you haven't done this before, and then you press login, and then just type in your login details. And now we have access to all of our worlds and accounts and stuff. So for example, if you have any items, assets that you've uploaded, any packages, all stored here. So this is essentially just the main hub for all of your creations and the community. I'll keep it simple for now, and I will show you the PCO markers. So here they are. All we do is download, and now we've downloaded it. You also want to keep in mind this asset ID here. We can click it and it will just copy to the keyboard, but just don't forget this. So because this is free, we were able to easily download it. I can just drag, drop into our assets folder, and depending on what you have, you can do this in two ways. So if you don't have WinRAR, you just you just don't have it, you can extract all, extract, and then you have this folder here. You want to open it, drag this back into the assets file, and that's how you want it. So you don't need to touch anything now. But the easier way with less steps is to use WinRAR. Just press extract here, and boom, it's done. So it kind of skips that step. So now we have this in our asset pack. We're actually able to work on it now. As well, maybe we might want to have a map, but we'll cover this later. So for now, we're going to focus on actually setting up the assets, so these static meshes that we have. So if you remember, open up the assets.toml, these three assets here. I'm going to code all of them, and they will all be set up. So if you remember last time, in the previous videos, setting up and installing, we go on our package, go on our server, go on our index.lua, and we have some code here. I'm just going to delete this top part, because we do need this character part at the bottom, otherwise it's just not the same. Second. There we go. For now, I'm going to say local, and call it marker cylinder. Actually, I'm going to call it marker 1 to make it easier. Equals static mesh. Second, I just realized I don't have this enabled. So sometimes you might find that your Visual Studio Code might cancel the trust on the Helix script. So that's fine. All you need to do is just retrust the workspace, and now you're able to use it again. If I type in static mesh, I now have it pop up with all of the parameters. So I'm going to keep it simple. So first of all, it's asking for a vector. So I'll just say vector. I'll leave it as 0, 500, 0. Just for a bit of context, in case you're used to maybe Roblox is set up with positioning. So on Unreal Engine, the y-axis is not the height. It's actually the z-axis, the z-axis. So on Roblox, maybe you'll see that y goes up. Obviously, that's mostly to accommodate, younger people that kind of associate, y goes to the sky. So on Unreal Engine, X, Y, Z, the Z goes upwards. So we have this one now, but we need to actually apply the rotator now, and then the static mesh asset. So if you remember, if I go on Helix Tutorial 2, PCO markers, I had SM marker arrow, SM marker circle, and SM marker cylinder. So all I do is string, and then I paste that, I do 2 colons, and I get the asset pack name as well. PCO markers, PCO dash markers. So that's pretty much ready now. So all I need to do is go to my game server, open it up, and that should work. Let's have a try. Again, I just pressed L to join. And let's see, did it work? Not quite. Oh, it's because I need to actually load the package in. So right now, there's actually no package loaded in. I can just say on my server console, package load test. I'll show a better way how to load this. And again, another complaint is that the asset pack PCO markers does not exist. So to do this, we can go on the config.toml, go on assets, and then we can do PCO-markers. And if you remember, our package wasn't actually loading, we have to do it manually. So I can just say test here. Again, open up my game server, and PCO markers has been added, and so is our package test. So now if we join, it should be working perfectly. And now we've joined, and our marker's here. As well, if you notice, this isn't really what a marker should be doing. You know, I can walk on it and I can bump into it. You want to make it so it's a different collision type. So the last parameter is collision type. So this is just an enum. So basically just a big table of certain configs. So for example, normal, static only, no collision, ignore only pawn. So that's like a player. And auto, that just basically just sets it depending if it's like a static mesh or skeletal mesh. So we want no collision, so absolutely nothing hits for it. So now I can do package, reload all, and there we go. Now I can walk through it. You might see that it's a bit small, isn't it? So you might want to change the scale. So I can do that. I'll go marker 1, set scale, and I was asking for a vector. So I'm going to give again. So now this vector is the size. So it's not the position anymore. So it's going to be the size. And it works in kind of a percentage way. So but essentially 1, 1, 1 won't change the size. It will just bring it to its original size. But it's 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. It's going to be cut in half. And if it's 2 by 2 by 2, it's going to be twice the size. So I'm going to do 4 by 4 by 4. And then I'm going to reload my package. And now it's a lot bigger. Maybe you might think that it's too tall. Maybe it just doesn't look nice to you. You can jump back and then change the Z-axis for the height, if you remember. There we go. And that's a lot better. What I'll do now is I'll add the other markers as well, just so you can see easier. Marker 2 equals static mesh. Vector, so it's again the position. Rotator. I'm leaving it blank. It automatically goes to 0, 0, 0. Doesn't really matter because, you know, for example, the cylinder marker is cylinder. You can't really rotate a cylinder in that way. So static, -s, that's a string. Collision type, no collision. So back to this. PCO dash markers. So just double check. Yep. Dash dash, I mean colon colon. SM. And now obviously go back to your assets.toml. Let's do marker arrow. And then go on our vector 0, 1000, 0, so it's 500 away. It should be behind it. There you go. And it's the exact same thing. You can change the position, you can change the size, and that's working pretty much perfectly. So now we have kind of our code set up. We can also now create our world. So a world is just a central online place for your game. So right now, no one else can actually join this. Only I can, because it's to my local computer. It's being ran locally on 127.0.0.1, and then on port 777. So this is no one will ever join this. Easiest way for you to host a server, or host your own world, is to use our Helix hub. So if you remember, we signed in earlier, and now we have all of these worlds. I've obviously made a couple in the past, but I'm just going to make a completely fresh one. So if you press the new button over here, there's world ID that you can't change later. So this is kind of like its unique ID that you can set. So test world, display name is obviously what everyone else is going to see. So I'm going to say test, and then test1, something like that for the description. Obviously there's a lot more kind of text that you can fill, but for now this is fine. And then press create, and it will make my own world. So there's a couple of requirements. First of all, you need a main cover and a world package depot to be uploaded. So just for now, I'm just going to show you through all of these tabs. First of all is details. This is like the main kind of front of page info, such as, you know, the world ID, display name, description, what like category or genre, tags, and just social media links that will be present on our website. Next is the showcase. So this is like your thumbnails and previews. So this one here is required. This one isn't. You can upload images or videos, and you have a maximum of 5 items. Next is the access. This is your kind of main setup. Next up is your access. This is where your URL is stored. Next up is our access page. This is where your Helix URL is stored, and your password protection setup. If you wanted to, just set up like that. Visibility. So listed will be public to everyone, so they can just literally see it on your this world page. And if you want it unlisted, maybe it's a more of a private game, they can still join with the Helix URL. And obviously the max amount of players are here. This is the in-world purchases page. We'll cover this on another video. It's basically just a place to set up microtransactions. Sales is, if you sell enough, you'll be able to see how much revenue and transactions have been made in your own world, the microtransactions. Hosting is our dedicated server that you can set up. It requires Lix, so that's our in-game currency. And don't worry about this for now, we'll cover this in another video. And lastly is the config. So this is, think of this like your your config.toml. And it's kind of everything backend that you're setting up. So these are going to be your asset packs. So you can't actually upload your own asset packs. You have to use the ones that have been uploaded on the Helix marketplace. So what you'd have to do is upload one yourself, and then you would say, for example, PCO markers, and then this tag is now the ID, if you remember earlier, and now this will be loaded onto the game. So think of it just how we did over here. Next up is our world package depot. So this takes a couple of steps to set up, not too hard. So all you go on is your packages folder. You make a new folder called packages, copy the test folder over, paste, and now this is the structure. It's basically to emulate this folder here. Okay, so you want everything that you want to be loaded in this folder. So if you had multiple packages, you just put them in and it would load it automatically. So what I now do is right click, you can zip, or you can compress via WinRAR. I'll just zip it normally, and this is how it should be set up. So there should be a zip folder, a packages folder, and then the individual packages themselves. So what you can do now is just drag Oh, sorry. Click here on upload, drag, drop. Now uploaded. And then you want to upload a picture. And now we have our thumbnail. And once we're happy with everything, we will publish. And if you press the publish button and something doesn't work, it will give you an error message down here and it will tell you the problem. So obviously right now we have our PCO markers asset pack and our package over here. And obviously we don't have a map at the moment, so we're just going to say default blank map. So that's automatically filled in, so we don't have to worry. So everything should be perfect. I press publish successfully, save and close, and it's here. So now I'm going to copy this world ID. I'm going to paste it into here and then do .links at the end. So now we're able to connect. Press the connect button. It's loading. There we go. We've now joined the game and everything's worked perfectly. If you want your game listed, all you need to do is just go back on your access, visibility, listed, save and close, refresh over here, scroll down, and it's just over here now. So it has certain stats on your screen. So there's visits, max players, download size, last time you updated it, your tags, description, again the file size, the Helix URL, and also how many people have joined the game and how many people are concurrently online. Okay, so that concludes for today. So I hope that's helped you a little bit to kind of understand what's happening with setting up your own world, and it's made it a bit more clear, and obviously hopefully you're well equipped to deal with, you know, learning a bit more about the creative side of Helix so you're able to develop. As always, if you go on your Helix Hub community, you're able to see more about your API that you're dealing with. So, for example, maybe you might want to look more into the tutorials and examples. Try and read as many as you can. And consider reading into the classes now. For example, maybe something like the character or the vehicle class over here. And yeah, so if you have any questions or feedback, make sure to include it in the comments and we'll make sure to read up on it, try and respond as soon as possible. Just help you advance and get past that learning curve that some people may find in Helix. As you know, this is a whole new API. Some people might struggle, learning about Roblox, for example, or, I might struggle transferring from Helix and Roblox to, for example, Gary's mod. Yeah, so thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in the next video.